everybody. Good morning, everybody. The food is on. I need batteries. Food's on. We only had 80 RSVPs and we're well over 100 people. So we're going to make another food run. But please, when you get these email blasts, RSVP if you're going to eat, because it's embarrassing for me not to have enough food for everybody. So our friends at Hawaiian Barbecue are preparing a little extra food for us, and it'll be here in about 10 or 15 minutes or so. So if you haven't had a chance to grab something yet, just be patient with us. We'll bring more food. And we're also going to pass the bucket for folks that didn't have a chance to sign up online and pay online to go ahead and drop $15 in the bucket. Sorry for the food shortage, but that's what happens when you get popular. We have a lot going on this next, actually about 4 days. If we need extra seats, we have some extra chairs over there. There's some seats in here in the middle. Find a spot. Okay, welcome to the 2018 First Mining Alliance meeting. And boy, do we have a full agenda with a lot to talk about. So welcome, everybody. Oh. For those of you I don't know, my name is Rick Grinnell. I'm the Vice President of the Southern Arizona Business Coalition. And along with my sidekick, Sydney Hay. You like that? Yeah. She just kicked me in the side, so we won't discuss that. A couple of important notes. First of all, Granite Construction. Bob and your Granite team, thank you again for everything you do for us and hosting us here at our friends at the Hawaiian Barbecue is she's coming back here shortly with some more food. We have, by the way, we videotape these meetings. If you decide you do not want to be videotaped and seen here because of your political affiliations, or you told somebody that you were one place and not another, or as the old bartender used to say, if your wife calls, you tell her you're not here. Anyway, so for all you all, we are videotaping this and it'll be posted on the Southern Arizona Business Coalition website. Now, I will tell you this. Every once in a while, I come up with a good joke. And given the seriousness of our issues here, I'd like to remind everybody that they tell us in Ireland that we're not that important. So don't take yourself so damn seriously. But what is important and what is serious are the issues we're going to talk about today, and we really have a full agenda. We will probably run a little extra long here today. So it's important that, and the other thing is, we really need your help. We have a lot of issues that are going to require our industry and our supporters of this industry to step up and let people understand the importance of their issues. So we're going to start the meeting off as usual, and we're starting the far left corner there. I don't know who the guy is over there praying. Nick, you want to stand up and introduce yourself? And we'll start there, and we'll go around. Everybody has a chance to introduce themselves. The rabbi and the priest are meeting outside the church. The rabbi says, Father, it's been a long time since I've been in your parish. The priest says, well, I'm going to go do confessions. Why don't you join me? First lady walks in, and she says, Father, I have relations outside the marriage 3 times. The priest says, say 5 Hail Marys, put 5 pounds in the power box. Your sins are forgiven. The rabbi says, that's a good way to raise money. Next lady walks in, she says, Father, I had relations outside the marriage 3 times. Father says, say 5 Hail Marys, put 5 pounds in the power box, your sins are forgiven. But then a young lad knocks on the door, he says, Father, we got a spot of bother. Would you mind coming to the office and taking? So the priest says to the rabbi, would you take over for me here while I go take care of the business? Rabbi says, fine, I'd be happy to. Next lady walks in, she says, Father, I had relations outside the marriage one time. Rabbi says, go do it again twice. This week it's 3 for 5 pounds. I can't help myself. It's my drug of choice, politics and bad jokes, no charge. Okay, like I said, we got a full agenda today, and I want to, so everybody understands how Mining Alliance started since we're starting a new year. About 8 years ago, Steve Trussell, Sidney Hay, former Senator Al Melvin, and and Senator Gail Griffin decided we needed to get behind the Rosemont Copper Project, so we started a series of meetings we called the Mining Alliance meeting. Our first attendance was right about 12 people. The next meeting was 20. And by the third meeting, we had over 100 people attending these meetings. As a matter of fact, the fire marshal at one point told us we can't have any more people in the room. So it got pretty crazy and pretty busy. Shortly thereafter, Bill Ossenmacher and myself from Cade Industries, Bill from Cade, started the Southern Arizona Business Coalition as a way to help Southern Arizona voice be heard in Phoenix and around the region in support of mining, industrial development, and military. Sidney, who has been a long time manager, president, the HEFA. I have no idea what that means. But anyway, Sidney had been doing this a long time with the Amigos organization. So we had Amigos, we had ARPA, we had Southern Arizona Business Coalition, and we've been having meetings now for 8 years to support our industry. And your attendance at these meetings is not only important for you to have a chance to mix with other people, but it's a great opportunity for the mining companies to get their message out to you about what we need so we can advance this opportunities around the state. Recently, Steve Trussell has taken over as the president or executive director of the Arizona Mining Association, as well as Arizona Rock Products. Now, Steve is not new to hard rock mining. He's been doing this for over 20 years, and he actually started in the hard rock mining industry. So we have a conglomeration or a collaboration of organizations now that allow us to be heard statewide. Elected officials, communities that oppose us, communities that support us, and the industries themselves, the mines themselves, knowing you have friends. And ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have a full week coming up where we really need your help. That means writing letters, showing up at meetings, telling your friends. All right? If we don't tell our story, somebody else is going to tell the story for us. And that's not acceptable. Like I said, we're not that important, but the issues are. And further, and so we can get our projects online and moving forward, the more economic opportunities come for everybody. And even though I may not get a bid on one job, that means that other jobs are going to open up for bidding opportunities. What goes around does come around. And the industries and the mines appreciate what you do for them. And in turn, they're looking to expand their employment operations, expand the contracts that go out to subcontractors, and keep people working. Without a strong economic environment, we don't have the security we need to take care of our friends. For those that can't take care of themselves, make sure our seniors have an opportunity, and make sure, most important at the end of the day, without a strong economy, we don't have a strong national defense. This industry contributes $5 billion a year to the state of Arizona in economic opportunity. That is no chump change. And nationwide, this industry has a bigger impact than people realize. And all of a sudden, you're going to find out that the people in DC are paying attention to us. The Western Caucus now has not only Congressman Gosar, but it has Congressman, not Salmon, no, guy, he just won last year. Biggs, Congressman Biggs, who are both have good positions on the Western Caucus. They've advanced some legislative opportunities that help reduce the amount of regulation that allow this industry to move on and expand and move forward. So I not only ask you to support the mines, but listen to the elected officials who listen to us. Politics is a part of life, and we have to be aware of it. And all we ask of our politicians and of our candidates is respect the process, respect the people that are going to be here and put forward the effort, and also to make sure that they carry a message and not the political enema that needs to be had by a lot of them. So with that, we're going to start off this morning. Robin, I'm going to let you go first. Oh, one more thing. The blue containers are for the recyclables. The other containers are for trash. Please don't throw your trash in the blue containers. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Robin Barnes, and I'm the project manager for the Ray Land Exchange. And today we wanted to provide you with an update on the status of the land exchange and look for your help. You may not know, but we've been working this process for 25 years now. At this point, we have a draft supplemental EIS out for public comment. And basically the Ray Land Exchange is, ASARCO wants to convey about 7,300 acres of environmentally sensitive, high resource value land to the BLM in Mojave and Pinal County. And in exchange, we will receive about 11,000 acres of land around our Ray and Hayden operations. So the draft supplemental EIS was released in November, and it's open for comment right now. That comment period ends on February 16th. And once they end that comment period, BLM will finalize the SEIS and they will issue a record of decision. They've committed to doing so by the end of this year. And at this point, we need your help in the comment period, and we need it in two ways. One is for you to send a letter to the BLM supporting the land exchange, and two is attending one of the public meetings. We have 4 upcoming meetings in the next 2 weeks. Next Tuesday we'll be in Kearney, Wednesday we'll be in Gilbert, Thursday we will be in Tucson, and the following week we will be in Kingman on Tuesday. I really would like to show BLM that we have broad spectrum of support. They don't believe anybody's going to show up for this, so I'd like to show them that's not true. Ian, where are you? Ian Calkins is one of our consultants. He's handing out a call to action that'll give you all the information you need to be able to comment. And I think that's about it. Any questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
How many of you are going to write a letter to the BLM? Raise your hand. Good. Many of you already have. I've been getting copied on them. Copy me on them and I'll know you really did it. How many of you are going to go to one of the meetings? How many of you are going to go to more than one of the meetings? Overachievers. There's got a couple overachievers. Good.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So back to you.
That it?
That's it.
Wow. By the way, how many of you got on your phones, you get your emails, how many got an email blast this morning from either myself or Sydney about the Ray Land Exchange? Okay. Have any questions? Don't hesitate to call Sydney or I on this. Representative Leach. I'm going to tell you, this man has done some yeoman's work in the last 45 days. We've been working with an issue down in Patagonia, which he's going to talk about. And then we're going to piggyback with you, Greg, from Arizona Mining, because this really does touch our industry.
Thank you much, Rick. It's great to be here. This is a place where you come back. When I get to come back here every couple of months, you know you're in a house of friends. And let me start by saying, I truly thank you for those that I represent directly in LD11 and for those I represent indirectly across the state. It is very humbling. I sat in a meeting yesterday on budget. It is very humbling when you're presented a number of $10.2 billion and you're going to decide, I serve on appropriations and ways and means, fancy words for how we spend your money and how we get your money out of your pockets so that we can spend it. But when you have the responsibility of looking at how we spend the money, how we spend your money, and the fact that you've got to come back and talk with you people and justify where your money is going. I take it very seriously, and for those that know me, and I get the opportunity to work with Representative Kalifelter on bills. You know that at this point in my career, I've been known to stir up a little bit of dust on those that are taking advantage of our tax system and passing what they think are benefits to industry or to developers, basically, and taking it from your billfold. So I thank you. I thank you for that opportunity. Let me talk about first of all. Yeah, there's this little thing going on in Patagonia. Anybody heard about what we're doing in Patagonia?
Good work, Vince.
Thank you, thank you. Actually, I'm a conduit for the people that did the real work. We passed a couple of years ago a bill called SB 1487. And from now on, you're going to hear people talk about, I filed the 1487. So you know that came from then Senate President Andy Biggs, now in Congress. And what 1487 did was to say for the state government, a state legislator or the governor's office can look at anything that a government entity, be that county or be that a city or a town, is involved in that is against what we're trying to do within the state, that we can go, we as a legislator, we can write up a request for the Attorney General to look at it and say, is this in balance with what we want to achieve as a state? And is it good for us? And you might have read about the one in Tucson, and that had to do with guns, the gun buyback and selling of guns. And so it's settled law, it's been to the Supreme Court, and so we know that it's operable. So I was approached by the folks at Arizona Mining and Rick and one of the consultants about a situation that's happened in Patagonia, where Patagonia is basically saying, you can only run your heavy-duty trucks so many times over our roads in a week's time, and you can only run them so many times during a portion of the day that we would call night. That would be in an air, according to what we feel is in the Arizona statutes, that they are overreaching by far their authority to control industry. Because if you think about it, and I'm going to steal this from Greg, because we were talking throughout the week. If you think about a local municipality or a local government entity doing this, you could basically shut down Nogales. And where would we get our fruits and vegetables from? Or you could, in this ordinance that we'd be going through, they can charge a fee. So you can use it as because every government entity is always looking for more money. There's never enough money to fill all the wants and needs. And so, coupled with that, not only did and so I got this request. Well, before I file a 1487, I like to go to the entity that we're having a problem with and give them an opportunity and say, Greg, we're really thinking about filing a 1487 on this because we think it's illegal. Would you want to reconsider? That took about 35 seconds for a flat no to come back. No, they didn't want to have any part of that. And so we filed directly. We filed on January 3rd. It takes 30 days. Let me tell you what the process is. It takes 30 days. After we file it, it's 30 days for the AG to review it. The AG will say yes or no, that it is in conflict with state statutes. And should the AG agree with us, and I'm thinking he will, because if you look at the broader scope, if you open this up, it presents a lot of problems. If the Attorney General agrees with us, the Patagonia will have the opportunity to correct that situation. If they elect not to correct that situation, their state shared revenue will be held. That is a significant amount of money. So when we ran the bill, we attached some financial penalties. One of the things that we have in the state of Arizona we're finding is back in the day when most of us grew up, if it was law, you followed the law. Well, now the law is the law until you catch me, and what do you want to spend money to prosecute me? Well, now there's some bite in this law that you'll lose your state share of revenue until it's corrected. Patagonia does have recourse. They can go, we wrote in the bill that the recourse would be, this case would be automatically remanded to the Arizona Supreme Court. And put at the top of the docket so it will be heard immediately if they so desire. Many times they do not appeal it just because when the AG gives their opinion, it's pretty well put together. So, did I cover that fairly well, Greg? Do you want to add anything particular that I missed? The other thing, while you're coming over, the other thing I want to talk about quickly is that this week, because in their research, and Greg's research of the records down there, we also found out that they violated, we believe that they violated open meeting laws and had email transmissions of what to talk about, what not to talk about, and that is all documented, and that went to the AG this week. That is separate from the 1487 complaint, but I'm sure it'll be read as one. Greg, is there anything that you want to put an exclamation point on this particular deal?
Yeah, the AG does take public comment on this issue, and we've got their email address here, and maybe, Rick, we can blow it up or send that out with the email blast later, but at the time clock is ticking as you heard the representative say, so the more we can get industry folks to send in letters to the AG's office, the better chances that he'll hear the voice, because this is the way the town defined heavy trucks, by the way, just so you know. Heavy truck means a truck with more than 2 non-steering axles. So a regular pickup truck that's pulling a trailer that has 2 axles, you would now be in violation of what they consider a heavy truck. So you guys in the trucking industry, or you guys that are dependent on the trucking industry, heads up, because if you're going through any small town in the state and this is allowed to go forward, this is going to be a revenue generator for small towns, because we will put a limit on you and impose a fee for you to operate your vehicles on local streets. Thank you. And I appreciate all your help, Representative.
Thank you. And you can send them the email that they're going to send out. If you want to catch mine, it's B.W. Leach, B as in Victor, W, L-E-A-C-H at azleg.gov, and I will get it to my contact. Stacy, you have a question?
When you send out the email, could you send like a sample comment of what you would be like an ideal comment?
Did you get that, Rick, the sample?
Yeah, we're waiting, and we're putting the talking points together. They'll have it in their box by Monday morning.
By Monday morning, I'm told that you will have something in your and I will tell you, we were talking earlier about politics. People say, how do we get things passed? You simply have a bigger army. And so, you know, we're up there, there's 90 of us, but if you're participating, and Randy knows that, he spent some time up there, it really helps. Let me talk about a few other things. And Rick, you start giving me the hook if I get going too long here. I know you've got a full schedule.
That's all right.
One thing is that I want to give kudos to Senator Gail Griffin. Many of you know her. She couldn't be here today. She had to go a different direction. She has been absolutely instrumental in putting a breath of life back into the Mining Museum in Phoenix. She has worked doggedly ever since I've been here in the legislature for the last 4 years. She has been working to get that pulled together, and we had our first quasi-official meeting. It wasn't official, but we've got a committee which I'm serving on as an ex officio member with Senator Griffin, and we'll be starting a design process and everything in that building. The building needs some help. It's a little bit of a disrepair, but it's a wonderful building, and I think it's going to do the industry proud. And I noticed this. When do we add this, Rick? Back in the back wall?
I don't know, Bob.
Just recently when we did some expansion in the office.
You know, this just goes to job creation and teaching our young folks that there's opportunity in this industry. Let me talk about a few things legislatively that are coming up. And if you're following this afternoon at 2 o'clock, the governor will be introducing his executive budget, which then he sends over to the House and the Senate, and we kind of chop it up and and try to make some sense out of it. But basically, from what we understand at this point, we are very close on revenue numbers. There's going to be some main points, and I just want to point out the main points without going into the weeds of what you're going to be hearing about over the next 90 days in our session. Number one, you're going to hear about a special session for the opioid crisis. We can have a special session within a regular session and where we just focus on the opioid crisis. The bills have not been introduced. I can't tell you the details. We know that in one county, we had 4 doctors issue over 6 million opioid pills in one area. Anybody think that's a problem? The governor does, and so do we. And so I think that will move through fairly fast. The governor took steps last year to identify the opioid crisis and get the reporting system up. The thing that caught me the most when looking at the new report that he has out is the number of babies that are born in the state of Arizona that are addicted to opioids. And it's not only heartbreaking, but the cost thereof is just astronomical. The other thing that you're going to hear a lot about is reducing recidivism in our jails and prisons. Huge. Fortunately, our prison population, through remediation, through various drug programs, drug rehabilitation, our prison population is actually declining. We had in 2016, when I went in, the governor was asking for something like 6,000 new prison beds, and we have not used any of those. In fact, the goal of this recidivism program is to reduce. We're at about a 40% rate right now in recidivism. We want to get down to about 20%. The goal of that, if that would all happen, would be the reduction of at least one prison facility within our prison system, and that would free up money to go other places. Anybody ever heard about HERF funds? Anybody heard about HERF funds? Full restoration of HERF funds coming in the governor's budget. We put in full restoration last year, and we do funny things with our checkbook to make things look better sometimes than what they are. We put it in as one-time money to fully restore the HERF funds. Now it's in as an ongoing expense, and the governor and there's a lot of movement within the legislature to fully back that. JTED, we will be back to full restoration of JTED funds in the large districts. And what does that mean? That means Maricopa and Pima County we're raising from 95% to 100%. Yes, there is a movement for JTED at 9th grade. We're looking at, I know the JTED people, I've talked to the JTED people, we're looking at using non-general fund money, probably out of the workforce development to get 9th grade JTED back in the system started. It would be limited. And I'm told 4, they haven't decided on the 4, so I don't want to announce anything, but just in 4 areas. Those programs that require 4 years to complete certification in the program. I'm a believer in JTED. We restored JTED funding 2 years ago, the year before you came, I think, Todd. We took some JTED funding away, we put it back in with reforms. Reforms have been working, but that is really good news, really good news. Water. Anybody heard about water? It's been a discussion since actually the water discussion started back as about 2 years ago, but the governor had it in earnest this year. Without going into all the details of settled water law and who has water and who doesn't have water, the big issue is we need to hold the lake level at 1075. That's the elevation. And if we don't, we're going to be in serious problem as far as forced reductions of water consumption. We are looking for ways to do that. I live in Pinal County. I've had 12 100-year supply water requests denied. actually turned back. And we're trying to figure out how that is. Plus, we're working with the Aggies to make sure our developers get water and our Aggies get water, and everybody can sit at the fireplace and sing Kumbaya, which water doesn't, when you talk about water, that typically doesn't happen. You will hear more, thank you.
Speaking of water.
Yes, you will hear more of that as we go along. Senator Griffin, and again, many of you know her, she is key, working on that with, along with Rusty Bowers, and many of you probably know Representative Bowers, who used to be with that. They are working on the legislative side along with governor's staff on putting that bill together. Nothing to announce, the bill has not been written. And then education. Is education ever in the news? You know, K-12, you ever hear about, we don't spend enough, and we're 86th out of the states spending on K-12 funding, and we just don't spend enough. We're restoring all the cuts from the recession if this budget goes through. We will be putting about $400 million back in over the next 3 years. And for those of you, thank you. For those of you keeping track, that'll be $100 million this year, $168 million in 2020, in 2021, 236, and then we'll finally be up to the full $371 million that we cut in 2022. Two benefits. First of all, this money typically had been earmarked for specific things within K-12. We're releasing that money so they can use it if they need buildings, if they need teacher pay, whatever they need, it will not be restricted. Secondarily, we're in a lawsuit. Surprise, surprise, they sued because we stopped funding. We're in a lawsuit, and 6, maybe 7 of the 9 litigants have said, if we pass this bill, we'll get out of the lawsuit, and which will be good, and we'll get the courts out of making budgets where they don't need to be. So I think that's a major development. In addition to that restoration of funds, we're going to put another $300 million into K-12 this year. Many things, building of schools. You'll see buildings of schools going in. There's $106 million for inflation. One thing that we will be seeing that's not included in the $300 million that I just told you about is you will be seeing, coming from the governor, a program to replace school buses. I'm thinking, don't take this one in the bank, but I'm thinking, you might recall Volkswagen got in a bunch of trouble here a couple of years ago. Well, we have a $57 million settlement coming from Volkswagen over, I think it's over 5 or 7 years. And I think as long as you buy vehicles that improve mileage and cut NOx, that you'll be able to spend the money there. And I think that's where the governor is working with the AG to make sure that we can spend the money there. So there's a lot of things going on. The governor will be calling this his education budget, and already is. So those, that's very quickly, Rick, and maybe it's not so quickly, but.
That's all right. Todd, do you want to say anything?
Vince has got it pretty well covered.
A politician that doesn't want to talk? God bless you.
I will, let me give you a commercial. Todd's running back for office. So we've got primaries coming up in August. We've got the general in November. We appreciate your support. We appreciate your input. Call us, write us, come see us. We'd love to have you at the state capitol. Thank you for the opportunity.
No, thank you,
all
Vince.
for what you do, put people to work.
Thank you, Representative Leach. Rick didn't let me sit down, so he wanted me to follow up. As a city council member and a member of a school board, all the tax packages that the representative mentioned are going to be great for local government. Thank you again.
He will be senator.
Oh, that's right. You will be senator.
That's the plan.
And Representative Clodfelter, I thought you were going to give us a story about your Confederate flag situation, but apparently not. Okay, we're going to update you on our project, and just so you heard some of the people that are
Greg?
from.
Would you now, we have more food, so if you didn't have a chance to eat, please, there's more food up there. We've brought it in. Make yourself at home.
Eat. We've got a number of our company folks here, as you heard earlier. We're going to update you on the project, but I just want to reintroduce everybody. So those of you in the crowd that need to corner the appropriate people, you'll know where to go. Christine Johnson, office manager there. Yvonne Young, our land manager, so if you need to sell land or want us to buy land, talk to her. VP for the mine, all the underground stuff, John Barber, right here in front. For procurement, who's going to handle most of all the stuff, John Gravel. So, John, what's your cell phone number? and the guy that's leading all this and coordinating everything is Richard Locke. And Richard, I want to call you up so you can update the crowd on all the great things that we've accomplished here recently and the direction we're going.
Thank you.
And Richard's the senior VP.
What's that mean to a junior VP?
I have to do what he tells me.
Thanks a lot. I'll keep it brief. I think last time I was here before Christmas, we were talking about we were waiting on a couple of permits, and we got the dam safety permit. We were waiting for the APP and the ZIPDs permits. Working with ADEQ, I really got to say thank you to them. They worked very well. We went through the public meetings, and they issued the permits to us on Monday and Tuesday this week. I made the call to the site construction VP and the cats and those who were ripping that ground 10 minutes after we got the permit. So we're getting some work done there. We've got over 250 people on site right now doing various activities. So it's going well, but you know, it never stops, and we're always taking a risk. I mean, we don't have permits to run a mine. We have permits to do some reclamation work. So why we struggle to get those permits, I never know. But we need a lot more support over the coming months and years as we get the rest of our permits in place. So we're really looking forward to the work, and we've got a lot of additional work out on tender right now, and we're not slowing down. But whenever I tell the bosses in Vancouver that I need another $20 million, another $30 million, they get a little excited. So we got to give them confidence that we can get the permits in place and get this work done. But we're excited about our project, and looking forward to the involvement of many of the people in this room.
Thank you, my friend. Any questions? John Gravel is right up here. Give him your card. Sydney?
Yeah, okay. We have a terrific state mine inspector, don't we? Joe Hart. One of the most important core values of our industry is safety. And that's what Joe Hart helps ensure. Every 4 years he has to run for election, and it's that time again. So right here is his nomination petition to get on the ballot in order to run. This is for Pima County. So if you don't live in Pima County, let this go right on past you. But if you live in Pima County and are a registered voter, I need you to sign on the petition. We'll return it to Granite Construction today, okay? So I'll pass these around.
Don't you have to be a Republican to sign
Oh,
that?
he's running in the Republican primary, or so you can be an independent or a Republican. It's fine. This is how he qualifies for the funding to be able to get his signs out and to do the campaigning he needs to be able to win at the ballot. And it's the $5 clean elections plan, okay? So when this goes by, I want you to grab one of these, attach a $5 bill right there, fill it out, and that helps Joe Hart be able to qualify to get state funding for his campaign. He's got to get a boatload of $5 contributions from a lot of people, so it's going to take a lot of work. So, any questions about that before I pass these around? Sign this if you're a Republican or independent in Pima County. Let it go by if you're not, and give $5 to his campaign. Okay? Questions? Okay. I'm sending them around.
You don't have to be in Pima County for the $5.
No. Mm-mm. And it's only because if you don't live in Pima County, see me after and I'll make sure I get you a Maricopa or whatever petition. Okay? Got it. All right.
Stacy? Hey, yeah. And I'm going to try to pull up this link right now.
Oh, sure, that'd be great, thank you. Well, hi, I'm Stacy Gramazio with Florence Copper. It's good to be back here. I can't remember the last update that I did, but I do know that I forgot to ask if anybody had questions about our project, so I won't fail to do that today. But just to give you an overview of our project right now, permitting-wise, our EPA appeal was upheld, so that permit is fine, and our APP they are doing a final appeal, but we have 2 solid environmental permits from those regulatory agencies. So that allows us to start drilling, which we are. So there is activity on site right now at Florence Copper. You can see it if you drive by Hunt Highway. We're right across from Poston Butte. If you know that area, you know what I'm talking about. So we are drilling. Again, this is for a test facility. This is our PTF, our production test facility. So it's a 1 to 2 year pilot test. And it certainly is opening up opportunities, but of course we are working, we will be working towards full commercial operations once we are rolling with the PTF, and that will open up a lot more opportunities in that area. So we are drilling, we are commencing construction right now for our solvent extraction and electrowinning facility. And we do have some jobs listed on site, on our website, and we will continue to have some jobs start to post there. It'll be a slow trickle of jobs, and eventually we will require about 40 total positions on site for the PTF. Right now we do have there it is. We have an air quality permit hearing coming up, and I have another flyer that I will pass out to you here. You know, the funny thing about this permit is, you may recall that we went through an air quality permit hearing about a year ago. Pinal County Air Quality, their recording device malfunctioned at the first hearing. So we did it again a month later, and this time their recording device worked. However, in that time period, at Florence Copper, we did an update to our pre-feasibility study, and we actually determined that with the technology that we're going to use, we can operate with even lower emissions than initially planned. So even though our existing air quality permit that has been in existence since 1966 is considered a minor source permit, this amendment that we recently applied for is actually improving the environmental standard even further where we're operating at Florence Copper. And this is a class 2B permit, and I spoke to Pinal Air Quality recently. Even the Coolidge dry cleaner has the same permit that we will operate under, as does Hansen Aggregates, Cal Portland in Santan Valley. It's a very similar minor source permit. So we are applying for amendment to this permit. I've recently found out that our opposition is planning to come full force and oppose the amendment to the permit that improves the emission standards. So if you have the time to come out to Pinal County, Florence, it's near the old courthouse. We do have a public hearing as well. It's Tuesday, January 16th at 6 o'clock. And I'll pass out this flyer with some more details. But we would appreciate attending, particularly speaking and giving comments, especially if you live in or do work in Pinal County, that your voice, we would really like to have it be heard for this permit, but certainly anyone is open to comment. And they are not taking email comments, but you can, right here, send your comment to them via the postal mail if you are so inclined, and we do appreciate your support. I do have some sample ideas for comments on this flyer. But Again, we always appreciate you guys. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about Florence Copper and what we're doing right now. So, does anybody have any questions?
Who's your procurement director? And can we have their cell phone number?
Sure. So if you go to our website, there is at the very bottom of our website and also under contact. Mostly you want to talk to Greg Phillips, our process superintendent. Of course, Dan Johnson. I mean, we're a real tight team at Florence Copper. We're still only 6 people on staff. So you could talk to either one of us. Dan does try to come here as often as possible. But you certainly can take my card and send your information to me as well, and I will make sure that you have the form to fill out to get on the list that we refer to when we are putting things out to bid. So we do try hard to work within with companies that are within close proximity to the project, but that doesn't always work out because not everybody meets the requirement that we have, so then we do branch out further. So, but there is a form on our website, yes.
So it's true that not only is the hearing on Tuesday evening, Tuesday's the deadline, if you can't go, to submit comments, to send them by mail. If you
That is correct. So we hate to ask you to rush, but if you are able to get a comment in the mail, or if you're able to write it today and pop it in tomorrow's mail, that would be ideal, but certainly to mail it by Monday at the latest. And it can be a simple statement. I mean, we are improving the air quality standard that we will adhere to with this permit.
Okay, time's of the essence.
Any other questions?
No mail service, I don't have double check.
Oh, right.
So you need to get it
The mail tomorrow.
ASAP. Thank you for pointing that out. I almost forgot. Yes, there is no mail tomorrow. So, and they did not allow for email submission. So if you do have the time, and I'll pass this out, it'll give you some better ideas.
Right today.
No, there's no email, no mail on Monday.
Write it today. Send it out today.
Do you have any other questions for?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Our friends from Resolution Copper drove all the way down here from Superior, neighbor of Florence Copper, close. Gentlemen, come on down.
Alright guys, it probably hasn't been too long since you heard from us, so I'm going to just keep this project update really brief for you. In case you don't know, Resolution's underground mine located just outside of Superior. It's projected to become North America's #1 copper producer once we get operational. Where we're at right now, we're doing a lot of reclamation. 2018 is going to be a big year for reclamation at Resolution, particularly with regard to the previous mine-related disturbances. That includes the removal of arsenic and other toxins that are left over from the old Magma mine smelter. We're expecting closure by 2020 on that, so remediation is going to be accelerating over the next couple of years. Environmental analysis and permitting, our process going forward, we're about halfway through NEPA right now. The next step is the Forest Service releasing alternatives analysis. That's going to be their alternatives evaluation report. The key area there for us is tailings. Overall, engagement with the Forest Service is going really well. No major problems, no major hurdles. Just this last week, we cleared a major milestone, which was the Forest Service finalized its plan for the Apache Leak Special Management Area. And we had a lot of consultation with the local tribes who overall are close to the project, but they consulted with us throughout that process, and there were a lot of concessions that were made. So it was a big milestone for us. If you're not familiar, Apache Leap is an iconic vista in Superior. It's the escarpment that is basically the kind of the postcard image, the face of the town there. So we're working with the Forest Service to make sure that's going to be preserved forever. Overall, the project continues to have strong local support in Superior and all the other communities in the Copper Triangle. Want to say a couple words, Mike?
Thank you, Jonathan. Ladies and gentlemen, I just have a little bit to add by saying that we are continuing with our geological and technical evaluation of the project. Core sampling and the analysis of the ore body is continuing. We have 3 drill rigs out in the field at the moment, a technical team of about 20, working hard to optimize our development plans and also supporting the permitting activities. At the same time, we are continuing to evaluate the application and integration of both current and future technologies. As regards the underground, the next stages of the underground development, that involves mainly the deepening of our 9 shaft at the moment. And the first activities have begun. We are busy rehabilitating up to the 4,800 foot level of shaft 9. That involves removing steel, sealing old magma stations, and also establishing cooling, dewatering, and ventilation systems that will allow us to deepen the shaft from about 4,800 feet down to 6,845 feet. Then, at that depth, we'll be able to connect shaft 9 and shaft 10, improving the safety of the mine, and then we can start developing laterally into the actual ore body. That will help us to finalize the project design and confirm the key mine design parameters that we need to continue. And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, I'd just like to say that Jonathan and myself are here on behalf of the project director, Mr. Andrew Lai, who sends his apologies for not being able to be here today due to other urgent work commitments. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions? Do you have your procurement director's cell phone number?
Anybody
Okay,
else need a $5 form to fill out for Joe Hart? Okay.
let's see, where we go? Who am I missing here? Oh, Jerry. There he is. I knew I saw you someplace.
All right, thank you, Rick. Good afternoon and Happy New Year, everyone. So I just want to give you, just touch on a few things to give you an update on the Rosemont project. First thing I'd like to do is just introduce you to a couple of new staff members that we have, if you haven't met them yet. Christy Maselli, she is our new HR manager. Happy to have her on board, as well as Nancy Heiser, who is now our community relations coordinator. We stole her away from Congresswoman McSally's office, but we're happy to have her on board, and we also added another staff member to our environmental team. So it's exciting to bring some new people on board. So the first thing I want to touch on is on the permitting front. We continue to work with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers on our Clean Water Act Section 404 permit, which is essentially the final federal decision that we're waiting on to greenlight the Rosemont project. And currently, right now, we are responding to comments that they received from the EPA. And previously, the EPA has been pretty critical of the Rosemont project. And please keep in mind that that has mostly come from the district office in Los Angeles. So they've got some comments, and we are working with the Army Corps of Engineers, responding to those comments right there. So we continue to work through that. And we continue to work with the U.S. Forest Service on finalizing our mine plan of operations. Keep in mind, back in June, they issued their record decision, their federal decision on Rosemont. So the process that we're going through now is an administrative process to finalize our mine plan of operations. So those things continue to move forward. I also want to talk on, just touch briefly on a couple of legal challenges that are new in the last quarter that have been filed in federal district court. The first one is from the Center for Biological Diversity, who has filed suit against the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, who issued our biological opinion, and they are arguing that Fish and Wildlife violated the Endangered Species Act, specifically with regards to jaguar critical habitat. So that's a lawsuit that's in place right now. And another lawsuit that was filed as well in the last quarter was from Save the Scenic Santa Ritas and a few other environmental groups. And they have filed suit against the U.S. Forest Service, who issued their record of decision, and they are challenging the NEPA process that we went through, as well as just the process that they went through in issuing the record of decision. So, no surprises. These are, these are organizations that have threatened legal action in the past, and so it's no surprise as far as we're concerned. And there's likely going to be some more as well. There's other groups that have filed that they have threatened lawsuits. So, in a sense, it's kind of to our benefit that they have done it sooner than later. So we'll continue to closely follow those. But those are recent developments. But again, no surprises on our part. And really, the last thing that I just want to touch on as well is just as a company, we are very optimistic about 2018. We have a great project. Price of copper is up. Our stock is doing extremely well. Rosemont is the primary growth strategy for Hudbay as a company. They're committed to the project. We're adding staff. We're excited about what we're doing, and we're eager to get started this year. Questions?
Good for you, Jerry.
Thank you. Yeah.
For us in Florida, could you keep those guys tied up in court as much as possible?
Yeah. Well, I tell you what. Yeah, we'll do our best, but no, we're hoping to get that, do what we can. I mean, we don't, like all organizations, we don't comment on litigation, but again, from a timing perspective, it's better that this gets started sooner than later, so we'll see where that goes.
Do you have a construction manager for your project yet?
We do. The project director, his name is John Zito. He's currently our acting vice president for the Arizona Business Unit, but he is the project manager for the construction. John Zito.
I didn't know if you had an outside company.
But we do have an outside EPCM. But again, until we get over the finish line and get the permits that we need, will we get started? So we're waiting. Other questions? Well, folks, thanks for your continued support. We appreciate it.
Thank you, my friend. Speaking of the opposition, whether or not I agree with their position, they are very good of carrying their message. So this just tells us more that we have to stand up for our message and not be bullied by all these darn lawsuits. And Mr. Linzel, you want to talk about ARPA a little bit? Tell us what's going on?
Not really.
Not really? Okay.
No, we just had the transportation issues, but in talking with Representative Leach, we probably want to wait and see how that's going to come out.
Okay. Sydney?
Mining Day at the Capitol. Don't
Mining Day at the Capitol, March 15th. There'll be more information coming out. Stay tuned. Happy New Year, everybody, and thanks for being here.